All right, guys. Good morning. Good morning. Hope you guys are doing good today. It is Monday. All right, guys. Yeah. What's up, chat? I gotta wake up a little bit. I'm here, waking up. I'm not late. It's 6:15. There's 6:16 right now, but I think I started it technically at 6:15. So Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy, or Strategy now, buys almost 2,000 Bitcoin worth about 219 million. This is as Bitcoin is sitting around 112s. United Health is ripping up again this morning. Maybe I should have held that one, but it's okay. A lot of stuff happened over the weekend. Futures, when we take a look at them this morning. Here, my bad. Hold on. Mostly higher futures this morning. We're at about 23.7s here. So if we take a look. There we go. Yeah, futures elevated today. Expectations that the Fed's going to cut rates probably this month. 90% chance of a 25 basis point cut in September. Some traders are expecting a 50 basis point cut. Robinhood, the stock, is getting added to the S&P 500 here, so it is all the way up to 109s right now. Tesla's up after that 1 trillion pay package announcement for the CEO. They're up to 355s. Broadcom still up almost 1% today after securing a $10 billion AI-related order, potentially from OpenAI. We got Enphase down as it was dropped from the S&P, so that's bad news for Enphase. Enphase has been a terrible stock. And so it's understandable. I think they're dropping it. Here's the last year. It's down from like 120s down to $40 a share. It's now no longer in the S&P 500. Yeah, United Health's up 1.4%. Oracle's up. So again, last Friday, if you guys joined us last Friday, payrolls came out. Only 22,000 jobs added. This ignited speculation about upcoming rate cuts. Again, now markets, when we take a look this morning, we can take a look at yields first, and then we'll take a look at rate cut odds afterwards. But yields are still pretty low. I don't know if they're as low as they were on Friday, but they're still pretty low here. They're 4.08%. They're up a little bit from where they were at the end of the day Friday, but they're still hovering around 4% for yields, which shows a lower interest rate sentiment. Lower yields means lower interest rate sentiment. We also have the CME watch tool here. And again, as of now, odds for a 25 basis point cut are now 90+%. Odds of a 50 basis point cut are now a little bit under 10%, 9.9% likely. And again, I think this week is going to really influence this, because this week we have CPI and maybe more heavily watched this time, we have PPI inflation data. The last PPI inflation data came out really, really bad, really bad. So we're going to get an update on Wednesday and Thursday. And then tomorrow, I think we have the benchmark revision to payrolls. Yeah, so the Bureau of Labor Statistics is going to release its preliminary benchmark revision for March, aligning its monthly estimates with more comprehensive quarterly census of employment and wages. It'll show whether prior payroll figures were overstated or understated. Economists anticipate a downward revision between 450 and 800,000 for the year through March, meaning average monthly jobs may be much lower than current reported, around 67 per month instead of the reported 150. This might fuel more aggressive rate cut expectations if it comes in really weak. So we'll watch for that. Again, Wednesday, September 10th at 8:30, we have the PPI inflation data. Again, the last one was terrible. The August reading is going to be closely watched to gauge whether inflation is still easing or accelerating. We have CPI. Can heavily influence the Fed's decision on Thursday. And then I think today we got consumer credit, but it's not the biggest thing. But we can watch it. It's at 3 o'clock today. I don't think we're going to watch that, actually. But still, it's important. Let's do a poll. All right, guys. So join this poll. How much does the Fed cut rates next week? Next week, right? Yeah, it's next week. Or what does the Fed do next week? Cut rates 25 BP. Cut rates 50 BP. Pause. Or rate hike. All right, vote on that poll. Let me know what you guys think. We're sitting right around the 200 exponential. We're at 23,771 right now. That is going to be terrible because many people are waiting to refinance after the cut. Yeah, that might be true. We did break 165,000 last week. Thanks so much. We appreciate it. Gold has been elevated around all-time highs, and it's still pretty close here. I mean, all-time highs on gold are 36.62. We are currently at 36.55. And really, we already broke the all-time highs once this morning here. So we're basically at all-time highs for gold again this morning. Gold's been pushing up, heading towards $4,000 an ounce. Let's see what happens there. Yeah, Robinhood getting into the S&P's big news. Definitely big. Aside from that, in big news, I'm looking for other big news that came out this morning. The UK government spokesperson says the government is looking to overturn changes House of Lords made on workers' rights bills. PNC is reportedly acquiring Based Regional Bank and a $4.1 billion deal, according to the Wall Street Journal. United Health is going to affirm 2025 EPS expectations in investor meeting, according to the SEC filing. EU officials are also reportedly discussing sanctions on China and other parties for the purchase of Russian gas and oil. Starlink is said to be in talks to purchase spectrum license from EchoStar as well. Yeah, take a look at Robinhood getting added to the S&P up to 109s. Yeah, so Robinhood Markets is going to be added to the S&P index. It'll be effective before market opens on September 22nd this month. Again, it's going to replace Caesars Entertainment in the index alongside Robinhood, AppLovin, APP, and MCore EME are also set to join, replacing Market Access and Enphase Energy. So it's a big milestone for them. They're transitioning from a fintech startup known for the meme stock stuff to be recognized as a mainstream large cap financial company. Again, it's up roughly 6 to 7%. You can see the all-time high, or I don't know if these are all-time highs. No, they're not all-time highs. 117 is all-time highs, but you can see it's pretty close to the highs of pre-market right now at about 111 here. So we can watch that. Robinhood has a market cap of around 90 to 91 billion. And so it's definitely good news for them. They almost got added a couple times. And yeah, now they're finally back in. Yeah, do me a favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We appreciate it. It's Monday. We're here. Nasdaq's really choppy right now. I'll probably trade at least a little bit, but the Nasdaq's very choppy right now. There's also kind of just less activity. I think market's probably waiting for CPI, PPI data. Again, MicroStrategy did announce they bought almost 2,000 Bitcoin, 1,955 for 217.4 million at 111,196 per Bitcoin, and achieved a yield of 25.8% year to date. And this year, as of 9/7, they hold 638,460 Bitcoin acquired for 47 billion at 73,000, just under 74,000 per coin. All right, so U.S. European Union sanctions coordination is back on. They say European Russia sanctions chief David O'Sullivan is in D.C. today with a team of experts to help meet U.S. officials on sanctions, according to the EU Commission. So that news is out. Yeah, it's been a little quiet. Let me switch this to live chat. What do you guys think we're going to get this week? You guys think we're going to get high or low inflation? I think the inflation story is going to be a pivotal story for this week. It really is. Like, what inflation looks like is going to be important, you know? So it's going to be pivotal regarding, like, where inflation looks. If PPI inflation comes in hot, it might scare rate cut odds back down. PPI inflation expected at 0.3%. Last time it showed up, remember, almost at 1% at 0.9%. And so PPI inflation drops Wednesday, September 10th. It's expected at 0.3%. Last time it showed up at 0.9%. On Thursday, we have CPI inflation. It's expected at 0.3% as well. Last time it showed up at a reasonable 0.2%, but it's expected to jump up 0.1% month over month. Year over year, CPI is expected to jump up 0.2% from 2.7 last time to 2.9% this time. Core CPI expected the same at 3.1% and 0.3% on the month. So we also have jobless claims coming out at the same time on Thursday. Last time jobless claims were elevated as well, so we will see what we get here. If we get a little pullback, I might buy this at like 75s. I would like a dip to like 76 or 75 here. If we get that, I might buy this dip. I'm gonna wait and see though. But we'll try. Yeah, and then next week, remember, is the Fed decision. So the Fed decision's next Wednesday. So it's in like a week and a half. Nasdaq is stuck based on revenue. I don't know. I think the news is good for Robinhood. As for where it goes, I really don't know. But I think the news is good for them, of course. Markets have historically dumped the month after rate cuts after an extended pause. I predict some chop after inflation data and sell the news rate cut announcement. Maybe. That's possible. All right, so here's a dip. I'm going to start a little position here. Very small. See what we get. It's small. Maybe we'll add a little bit more. Probably leave it here, I think. Nvidia 170. Nvidia's struggling, man. I mean, Nvidia has had a really hard time holding. You know, Nvidia at 167, even though it's green on the day, Nvidia's had a tough couple months, man. Like, if you look at Nvidia here, here's a 4-hour chart. It was at 185 back on the 30th of July. It is now at 167s. Yeah, I'm gonna look at some levels. We're just attacking some chop. It's small size though. We're down like $10. So I was looking at 75 right here, and this is kind of like where my line in the sand is. But oh, y'all can't see this. Yeah, I'm looking at like 75. Want to see if we bounce right here. I'm gonna start cutting this probably underneath it. It might hold, but I just don't want to. I don't want to get stuck in this chop too much. It looks like we're in an upward trend. Maybe I can give it a little bit more time, but I'm gonna wait, I think. How cold is it over there, Pawn? Xpeng vice chairman says companies looking to be more local in Europe, including through the supply chain. Why is United Health up this morning? Maybe I should have held that one. And if there's anything cheap that you guys see, let me know. My Marvel trade's still green. That's nice. Hims is still green. That's nice. Crocs is still green. I don't know how long I want to sit in Crocs though. I actually don't like the Crocs outlook long term. And so I actually might sell this a little bit here. I think I'm going to get out of it. I've made enough money on it already, to be honest. I bought Crocs at 75. It's at 80, 87, almost 88 this morning. And so I think I should probably get out of this thing. Yeah, I'm out. I just got out of Crocs. I just don't trust it. It's not really like a... It's not really a company that I feel comfortable holding long term. I like Tesla long term. According to Idiocracy, it's the future. Yeah, I mean, listen, if I can make well over 10% in like a month, I think I'm gonna get out of Crocs. I just don't trust it to go up much more than that. And I'm green on the day. I'm green in the Crocs position. I just don't trust holding it. I'm still green in Hims too, but I've already liquidated most of my position in Hims as well. Hims is a little bit different. I'll probably sit in Hims longer. I'm in PayPal as well. I'm green in it, but not like very green. But I'm green in the overall position as well for PayPal. I've also scaled out of PayPal as I've been up in it, so I hold a small piece left. but there's only one position I'm red in right now, but I'm pretty sure I'm net green in it anyway. I liquidated most of it once it went up. Target is that position. I think I'll probably sit in that one too. Yeah, sold Crocs, still in Hims, still in Marvel. Really nicely green in Marvel, honestly. Green in PayPal, red in Target. But I had a much larger position in Target that I scaled out of, so I think I'm just gonna sit. Yeah, I mean with Crocs, I've been green already. Again, I was up $10 a share on a $75 stock, right? And so regardless of whether it had a little bit of slippage there with the exit, I'd rather just get out of it. I made enough on it. I think it was time. The Saints lost. I'm not really happy about it, but again, they're just not that good. The Bengals won. That's good. At least Joe Burrow won. But it's hard to root for the Saints, man. I mean, it's easy to root for them. It's hard to be a fan of the Saints. It really is. It's just the first game. Maybe we'll come back, but. And the news is pretty light this morning on CPI week. Maybe the market might be choppy, waiting into CPI. That's possible too. There's not really any much big news coming out either. It's much more quiet than it was last week. I'd say a much more quiet week. They're the Aints this year. No, Rattler did look okay, honestly. He had a couple really good drives. But still, they still lost. You know. Oh, you're talking about the Bengals? Yeah, pawn. Stressful game. I didn't even watch the end of it. Yeah, that's okay. All right, guys, Robinhood getting added to the S&P. We talked about the news that came out this morning. Again, Robinhood getting added to the S&P 500. It's going to be effective September 22nd, so in a couple weeks. It's replacing Caesars in the index alongside Robinhood, AppLovin, and MCore is getting added, replacing MarketAxess and Enphase. We got a benchmark revision to payrolls tomorrow. I believe it drops at 10 a.m. tomorrow for the benchmark revision. We got CPI Thursday, PPI Wednesday. Again, so tomorrow, September 9th at 10 a.m., the Bureau of Labor Statistics is going to release its prelim benchmark revision to payrolls for March. We'll see if they update it to good or bad numbers, but that drops tomorrow at 10 a.m. PPI is going to be Wednesday at 8:30. CPI is going to be Thursday at 8:30. And the NASDAQ is very flat, very boring, very choppy right now. Not really doing much, unfortunately, here. We had some stuff moving up. Again, Robinhood's one of the big stories. I'm not going to buy Lulu, I think, right here. It's too risky. Again, I think the trends are changing with Lululemon. I really do. I think the trends are changing. Yeah, United Health is up some, but it kind of retraced a lot of the gains. It was all the way up to 320s. It's all the way back down to 318s now. So, it looked better, but... Macy's is up 31% though. Who knew Macy's? Again, I don't trust Macy's at all. It's not like I ever want to buy Macy's, the company, just because it's freaking Macy's. I'm not gonna buy it, but still. Macy's up 31%. Sales beat, higher outlook. That's good, I guess. Japan's Ishiba resigned as prime minister after his party's defeat in the summer election. Growing calls from his party to take responsibility for a defeat in July's parliamentary election. OPEC Plus agreed to another oil production boost in October. If we take a look at oil, oil's at 63 a share, so it's trying, but it's under 63s. Amazon is no longer doing its freebie service. And they get gold up to all-time highs. Yeah, here's Open, OPEN, up to $7 a share, still pushing here. And again, I kind of doubted Open. It's not that I doubted them, it's just that I don't know. Like, let's look a little bit deeper into Open. Yeah, so Open up to $7 a share. Yeah, so Robinhood market cap 90 to 91 billion market cap. You know, the threshold to getting added to the S&P is 22.7 billion according to the Wall Street Journal. So Robinhood getting added, it's way past that in terms of at least its necessary market cap. Open Door. Its business model, it operates several different ones. Sell to Open Door allows homeowners to sell directly to the company for quick liquidity. It does listing services, so it helps sellers list their home on the MLS with Open Door support. It has a marketplace that connects sellers to buyers. And last year, they recorded 5.15 billion in revenue, down from 6.95 the prior year. They reported a net loss of 392 million, marking a 42.5 increase in losses year over year. It's up 49% though in 4 weeks. Retail investor enthusiasm in social media. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's running. See if it continues. Yeah, I'm looking at Open Door now. It looks nice, like a good website, but the problem with Open Door is it going to be able to compete with Zillow? I don't know, man. And I think Zillow tried the same business model and it didn't do it the best. The other issue is like they don't really have nearly all the homes that they should have here listed. And the homes that I do see listed on them, like I'm just looking in my area for Open Door. None of these homes are good. These are all bad homes. No offense. Bad areas. Risky. Some of these are okay, but right now that's kind of my look, is like if Zillow, a much bigger real estate company, couldn't pull it off, what makes Open Door able to do it? And again, they're losing more money. This is mostly retail speculation driving them higher. And while it might go up big and it you know, it's up huge already, it's just too risky for me. I'm not really like super speculative in that context. It's too much of a gamble. It's kind of like picking up pennies in front of a train track, right? You might be able to do it, but is it worth it? You know. Like, yeah, it's just risky. It's just risky. But Open has sprinkled the whole process with AI fairy dust. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. All right, so SpaceX is agreeing to buy wireless airwaves in a $17 billion deal. SpaceX has agreed to pay up to $17 billion for the right to use some of their EchoStar's valuable spectrum for cell phone service. EchoStar said Monday that SpaceX agreed to pay $8.5 billion in cash and up to $8.5 billion of its stock for 2 chunks of valuable wireless spectrum. The rocket and satellite internet company also agreed to pay about $2 billion of cash towards interest payments on EchoStar debt through November of 2027. Let's look at our poll here. So 51% think we're going to do a 25 basis point cut. 34% think we're going to get a 50 basis point cut. 9% think a pause. 6% think a hike. I don't know here. I don't think any of this stuff's very likely, to be honest. Most of the time, it's easier to just go through a realtor. You're gonna have to pay them 3% or whatever the rate is anyway. And so, you know. The only way we're gonna get 50 is if inflation data comes in low. Even then, we're probably not getting 50. But if CPI or PPI shows up low this week, maybe we'll get 50. We'd also need like joint. We also need week payroll revision data tomorrow at 10 o'clock, maybe. But yeah, it's looking less likely that it's going to have any type of big influence. You got to remember the rate decision's next week, right? So it's looking pretty probable we're going to do a 25 basis point cut next week. We could do 50. Again, we need low inflation data to justify it. And I don't know if we're going to get that, but we need low inflation data to justify it. And I just don't know if we're going to see that or not. Yeah, Robinhood, again, Getting added to the S&P 500 and got about a 90 billion market cap. It's right around pre-market highs here. So it's trying. Futures are stagnant. They're not really doing anything. French 10-year yields fall 3 basis points to 3.42%, which is the lowest since August. Yeah, I'm buying, I need much more. Let me buy some more. Probably good. How much is this? 11. 4. Alright. I'll just wait until the open to buy the rest. Just kind of buying some, yeah, Bitcoin up. Or wait, is it up? Let me see. Hold on. Here's gold on the right side. Gold is up. I mean, Bitcoin's up a little bit though today. It's up to 112s. Nasdaq's so flat though. What do we do here? Are you guys bullish or bearish right now? Because the market's not really doing anything. It's so sideways right now. SPY is sideways. S&P, Nasdaq sideways. It's just not a lot going on. Sideways choppy Monday. Yeah, ahead of inflation data, benchmark revision data for payrolls tomorrow, PPI inflation data Wednesday. Next week we got the rate decision. Yeah, it's kind of flat right now. We're not really doing much. And then next week, again, we got retail sales, we got housing starts, we got the FOMC decision, we got jobless claims and more, so. Yeah, I trade, but the Nasdaq's so flat right now, it's not really doing anything that gives me a big edge, I would say, in this market. It's kind of boring. Palantir and AMD. Yeah, Palantir's still up to 150s. It's been holding there for a while now. You can see Palantir's been mostly flat though since mid-August. Going up and down, up and down. It hit 190s back in, mid-August and then kind of dipped big and now it's kind of flat. AMD and other microchip stocks, if we take a look at them, they're down just like Nvidia. Nvidia is under 170s right now. So it's seeing a correction. Yeah, ETH has been flat basically since this month. ETH hasn't really gone anywhere since this month. But it's been on a run a little bit here. It's up a little bit today too, but still can't really hold over 4,500. Yeah, TKO looks good as a stock, honestly. It's just not... I don't know enough about, like... I think the Paramount deal is great for the UFC, but I wonder what their margins are going to look like. Fighters, of course, are not going to get pay-per-view points anymore. But yeah, they're up a lot, you know. Not the most liquid company, though. Ford. Ford's not really doing too much. It had total U.S. vehicle sales that rose by 4% year over year last month, reaching 190,000 plus units. EV sales up 19%, hybrid sales up 15%. Expedition SUV had a 54% surge in August, 13% year to date. Still ended down, but it's at 1160s. Hasn't really gone too much. But payroll numbers maybe. Concerns. PNC is set to acquire First Bank in a deal valued at $4 billion, according to Wall Street Journal. Delta Airlines flight DL161 returned to Amsterdam after departure due to potential issues with the pneumatic system. The airline confirmed the flight landed safely, currently assessing the aircraft reportedly an Airbus. Also, the China President Xi is set to attend a virtual BRICS summit, according to CCTV. Yeah, ENPH. ENPH has been a terrible company, though, man. Like look, ENPH under $40 a share. Like a yearly chart, this thing was at 120s last year at the same period of time last year. It's now at under 40, and so it hasn't really performed well. It's getting booted out. And so I'm not really blaming them for booting it out the S&P. S&P wants returns, and this thing's lagging. It's a clean energy tech company founded in 2006. Solar, microinverters, battery storage. There's been a collapse in residential solar demand. I told people, you know, I tried to tell people, man. I did a short not that long ago telling people why I thought the solar market was risky. As well as, like, if you go against big oil, big utility, you know, it's 70% down from its 52-week high, continues to lag. Maybe long term, I don't know. What do you think? What do you feel like strategy long term? All right, look at the Nasdaq just dropped. If there's any news. Do you guys see what made this drop happen? It could be microchips. Nvidia just dipped down to the volume weighted average price. We're at 765s right now, 765s. What do you guys, I mean, y'all, those who don't like strategy, MicroStrategy, you must not like Bitcoin, right? I'm assuming that you guys just are like kind of anti-Bitcoin group, and that's fine. Like, I'm not against you if you are. I'm not for you either. I like Bitcoin, but I'm assuming if you don't like MicroStrategy, you don't think Bitcoin's going up. I mean, you got to look at their yield and how much they're making. They're a Bitcoin holding company, you know. I mean, Doge is at 23 cents. Pretty flat. Look, I guess I'm gonna try to short this. See if we can break down a little bit, maybe here. But I've only gotten in one trade and I lost on it, and so I'm hoping we get a follow through here. We're under the 200 exponential now. We're testing previous resistance. Maybe we'll hold. I like Bitcoin. I don't like MicroStrategy. It keeps adding dilution components. Yeah. All right, so we're slightly green on this position here. There we go. That's better. I'll take a little piece of this off just to lock in some profit here. We don't have much room, but we could lock in some. Check the trade. All right, so we're up nicely here. I'm gonna take some more off right here. All right, we just got out again. I'm taking quick trades because the market's choppy right now, and I don't necessarily trust it that much here. So I'm gonna go and cut it right here if I can. There we go, we're out. And we are now effectively green on the day. That rejection up here made sense. I'll probably document this. Rejected right here. Yeah, and so basically what people are talking about with MicroStrategy, if we put up MicroStrategy here, is that in order to buy more Bitcoin, Saylor doesn't just buy it with the company's funds. He ends up doing essentially like offerings, sells more shares, dilution is what it is. He ends up essentially like offering more shares to the public, and then uses those proceeds to buy more Bitcoin. And now, in theory, if Bitcoin continues to go higher, this should still make the company more valuable. But every time he does it, it chips away at the investors' shares. You know what I mean? It dilutes the shares of the investors. And so the point is, even if Bitcoin goes up, it doesn't necessarily mean MicroStrategy is going to go up with it because of the dilution aspect of it. But we're getting some debates about this company in the chat. What do you guys think? You guys like MicroStrategy or don't like MicroStrategy? Alibaba? Yeah, Alibaba's seen a run, man. They're coming out with their own chips. Nasdaq's still falling down a little bit. Look at this fall. Let's see if there's any news bringing this down. Nasdaq is filing with the SEC to... Okay, so... Okay, so Nasdaq is filing with the SEC proposal to amend rules to enable trading of securities listed on the Nasdaq in traditional digital or tokenized form. So roughly 15 borrowers are ready to sell new U.S. investment-grade debt on Monday, according to Bloomberg, citing an informal survey of debt underwriters. Again, Nasdaq filing with the SEC to allow trading of securities in digital or tokenized form. I'm also showing that the U.S. housing market reaches record $5.5 trillion U.S. housing market is worth a record 55 trillion. I'm sorry, just to correct it, 55.1 trillion, up 20 trillion since 2020. Housing gained 862 billion in the past year. 7 states saw their housing markets lose value over the past year, with the biggest drops in Florida, California, and Texas. About 1/4 of the gains nationwide came from New York, which added 216 billion. Deutsche Bank, Bank of England change of call, heading towards a Christmas rate cut. In the Bank of England. Nasdaq's falling down here, though. Look at this. See where Bitcoin's going on this news. Again, Alibaba's getting added to the S&P. It's still right around highs. Bitcoin up slightly on the day. I like MicroStrategy. Broadcom building chips with OpenAI. Yeah, AVGO has been doing really well. Look at AVGO. Look at Broadcom right now. Still pumping up the last week. Yeah, no, I had to, like, in one of my properties that I bought, I had to appeal. I had to appeal because they were basically, like, I bought a property and it was way higher valuation than I paid for it. And the assessed value historically is usually, like, the taxable value of your home is generally lower than the actual market value, like what you paid for the property. And so, but whenever I bought the house for a specific amount, but then the assessed or taxable value was noticeably higher, just for tax purposes. It's ridiculous. And then I appealed it and they brought it back down, which is good, but yeah, it was ridiculous for a while. Yeah, I mean, it was easy to appeal it, but I think what they're hoping for is that you miss it. Like, you don't appeal in time. And then you get stuck with that high taxes for the year. It wasn't that bad, but still, I wasn't happy about it for sure. You know? Like, I had to go through the whole appeal process, and they brought it down, but it was just kind of ridiculous. Yeah, Oracle tomorrow. We got some earnings. Or no, wait. Do we have Oracle? Let me see. Hold on. Today we don't really have much. Tomorrow. Yeah, we got Oracle and GameStop tomorrow afternoon. That'll be interesting. Chewy on Wednesday. Yeah, so Philips downside attributed to reports of Paris judge has been investigating the company's defective sleep apnea breathing apparatus since June following complaints, according to other companies. Nasdaq's still in this downward trend. It broke under the 768 level. I'm gonna have to draw some more levels here. Here's 750, which is really what we're bouncing off of here, like 750. I think we should look right here at 725 or so. We got maybe, let me see. I'm just gonna leave this here for now. Maybe put some higher range here. There we go. That's probably the levels I'm looking at right now. Let this work a little bit, see what happens. Yeah, we're trying to get under 750 now. Again, the news is a little light. The big news, NASDAQ filing with the SEC to allow tokenization and blockchain listing of stocks. Yeah, I was talking to somebody about this, about when everything would do it. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. But maybe they're right. Maybe it's going to be a lot earlier than we thought. All right, we're still breaking down here. Look at this drop. Wow. Is there a stock driving this? It's not really Nvidia here. It doesn't look like. Let's see what we got. Apple. Zoom in a little bit here. Doesn't look like it's Apple. Microsoft. We're slightly green on the day trading. Home Depot is filed for a 3-part. Size didn't disclose according to an SEC filing. Yeah, I kind of want to short this level if I can catch it in time. I didn't quite catch it in time, but I'd add a little bit more. We only have one little baby contract. I'd like to add a little bit more to this. All right, there we go. I want to jump in right around 50 here. Got in a little bit under that, but that's all right. There we go. We're gonna start liquidating this. There we go. All the rest break even now. Top 3 levels ever right there, guys. Top 3 levels ever. If it retraces, we're just gonna get out break even green. We're up about 10 ticks here, very small, but just want to see if it keeps dropping down. It's early, so I'm trying to trade small here. Are you talking to me about the house? What interest rate did I lock in? I didn't get a mortgage. I just paid cash for it. We're dropping right now. As if we get under this low at 744. All right, so I'm gonna cut this right here and just get out green and just wait, I think. Freaking property taxes. Where's Newegg at right now? Did it ever rebound back up? Sheesh, bro. I remember telling people about this, dude. Never ended up coming back up, huh? Rates were at 6 or 7%. You know. They're still at 6% right now. 7%. I don't think that's necessarily low. They might be coming down sometime soon. Looks like I got out right in time for this. Look at this, look at the bounce back. But yeah, especially when I bought the house, rates weren't low. They're still not low. Yeah, I know the pharma guy shorted Newegg. Did he? Yeah. Yeah, gold, I don't know what to do with gold. I mean, it's around all-time highs, but it's been breaking them over and over again for the last week. I just don't trust this. All right, so we're back under 750s again. Maybe there's another short, but... trying to trade with the trend is what I'm trying to do here, but more difficult than it looks. Yeah. Again, Robinhood added to the S&P. Are you guys bullish or bearish on Robinhood? Let me end this poll. Let's do another one here. We asked about rate cuts. Are you bullish or bearish for today's opening bell? All right, let me know if you're bullish or bearish. Today's opening bell. We got the poll going live right now. Yeah, I'm up a little bit on the day. I've had one losing trade, two green trades so far. Uber is filing to sell 5-year and 10-year notes. And so yeah, I've had one losing trade, 2 green trades so far, and we're green on the day. Yeah. We'll see. We'll see. For people regarding somebody was telling me about STRC. STRC ETF. Apparently it pays just under 1% a month, 10% annualized a year. What's the risk of this though? Like if Bitcoin turns down, does STRC turn down with it? Also, is anybody curious about getting into mortgage-backed like yield ETFs? Because if rates start to get cut, shouldn't those be more valuable, I guess? Let me see, hold on. It'd be up, and I guess as rate cuts become more probable, these have been going up. Might be too late now though, I guess. Yeah, open is up to 7s, but it's incredibly risky, man. Like, look, here's open's margins right now. Oh, excuse me. Oh. Excuse me. Let's take a look at open's margins right now. Ugh. Here's Open Door. OPEN. Get out of the way. So this is their earnings per share. I mean, they're getting better though. They're still losing money, right? But they're getting better for OPEN. Let's see their revenue. Here's their revenue graph. You know, here's the problem, right? Is that this is their actual revenue graph right here. So one of the things that you see is you see declining revenue, noticeable declining revenue, quarter to quarter. All right, so the revenue is getting worse. Now some of this is, you know, we had 2020 here and all the craziness of 2021 and 2022 and all that stuff. Everybody's stuck at home, real estate boom, but declining revenue is not good, you know. But yeah, declining revenue ain't good. That's the problem with Open, is that it's mostly getting pumped up by retail, which can be good. Obviously, GameStop ran. We got GameStop earnings this week too, but it's obviously getting pushed up by retail here, you know. Yeah, SoFi looks solid. Of course, SoFi looks solid. Yeah, Open's wild. If bond yields go up, bond prices go down. Yes, that's true. But why would bond yields go up right now if we're getting ready to cut rates? You know what I mean? Yields and interest rates follow each other. So if interest rate sentiment is down, bond yields are going to go down, not up. So what does that mean for bond prices? What are bond prices going to do? They're going to go up if with a lower interest rate sentiment. So yeah, I mean, we just got the payroll numbers that showed up 22,000 last week. I can change this. All right, there you go. We added some news at the bottom of the screen. Robinhood getting added to the S&P 500 now has about a 91 billion market cap. Nasdaq's chopping right now. Nvidia's down. Retail helps, but let's be honest, they don't have enough money to make that push. Maybe that's true. I don't know. Yeah, PPI and CPI are going to be big, right? And if we take a look at rates and yields, currently it's about 90% chance of a 25 basis point cut, about a 10% chance of a 50 basis point cut. What can influence this is inflation data on Wednesday and Thursday. In order to justify rate cuts, we need price stability. And if we don't have price stability, the odds of rate cuts are going to decrease, right? So what does that mean? That means if we get higher inflation data Wednesday and Thursday, it's going to become less likely that we're going to cut rates. I'm not saying it's going to become likely that we're going to pause. It's just going to become less likely that we're going to cut rates. Not necessarily probable that we're going to not cut rates, but it might bring these odds down from 90% where they're currently at if inflation data comes in hot, comes in elevated. If we don't see price stability and inflation looks hot and heats up, that might make the odds for rate cuts decrease a little bit. We might see something like this pivot down from 90%, and we also might see pause odds show up in the chart versus 50 basis point cut odds, or vice versa. If we get low inflation data next week to a point in which it's looking less likely that we are going to see big spikes in inflation, then the odds of 50 basis point cut might increase even more. And so we'll see. But that's where we're at now with the yields. Gold, with all the stuff, all the unknown, has been ripping up. Gold currently right around all-time highs. It's at 36.55 right now. And the Nasdaq's been pretty choppy. We had some breakdowns, but Nasdaq's pretty flat. Yeah, and I think the closer we get to the rate decision, the less likely data is to swing the odds back and forth, to be honest. Right? So the closer we get to the rate decision, the less influential the data is going to be. Because they're not really going to change their decision too much a day or two before the meeting. You know what I mean? And so because of that, the closer we get, the less likely the data is to influence things. And so you just want to watch it. All right, so we got 8:30 coming in. We don't really have any data today at 8:30. But we do have 8:30 out now. Again, tomorrow we got a benchmark revision. They're expected to revise payrolls down 598,000 at 10 a.m. We'll see what that looks like. And then PPI expected to show up at 0.3%. Core PPI expected to show up at 0.3% as well. Both of those were almost 1% month over month. So we'll see if that happens. Do we get higher or lower inflation data this week, guys? What do you guys think? High or low inflation? No, we don't have any 8:30 news today, guys. We just don't have much. Kind of boring. Yeah, here's gold. Will gold break all-time highs today? Looking at our poll number, we asked people, are you bullish or bearish for the opening bell? 61% say they're bullish. 39% think they're bearish here. All right, there's 8:30 again. We don't have any 8:30 data. I think with the possibility of rate cuts, inflation will rise up. People around me are spending less on higher-end services and food. I'm guessing lower, higher. Gold crash if inflation cools. I don't know if it's gonna crash. All right, Nasdaq bouncing back up here. Again, it's a quieter day for sure in markets. Yeah, I think rate cuts are pretty much guaranteed right now. The only way rate cuts will not be guaranteed is if inflation data heats, right? If we get a hot CPI print or a hot PPI print, or both, that's bad. That's not good. We also have the Apple event this week. We got the iPhone 17 launch tomorrow, I think it is, for Apple. Apple iPhone 17 launch tomorrow. Maybe that'll move tech. It's possible. All right, we're rising back up. We're at 765s now. We're at the 200 exponential, so I do kind of want to short this. We'll try. All right, we're gonna try to short the 200 exponential here. 2 contracts. We're not gonna take more than that. Give it a second here, see if we break down. But there we go. All right, I'm gonna cut half of this here just because I don't like the push that it's making back up. We're still green on the day, but we're gonna make it. So QCOM and Google Cloud deepen collaboration to bring agentic AI experience to the auto industry. Collaboration enables quicker integration of next-gen AI in vehicles, they say. You know, we got a resistance level. I'm gonna use 68 as that level here. If we reject at 68 and come back down. There we go. There's 68. Okay, now we're about break even from the trade. But kind of flat now. Yeah, the only thing that I'm worried about is this QCOM Google Cloud news. I'm gonna cut this right here. I don't like this. Again, we got some Google Cloud news, might push Google up a little bit. We also have, it's also QCOM, QCOM. I'm gonna get out mostly flat on the trade and just wait, I think. Inflation is terrible now. I don't believe the numbers. Vegas getting hit. Look at United Health though. United Health also pushing up here. UNH 322s. Again, Robinhood getting added to the S&P. That's one of the big news of the day. Robinhood up to 110s. Drink my coffee. Gold got up to 36.60. Looked like it might make another test for all-time highs, but it just ended up getting rejected back down here. Yeah, I see Baba. They had some news last week that said they're coming out with an AI chip. Seen 3 restaurants closing this past week in Brooklyn neighborhoods citing higher costs. Yeah, I mean, inflation's hitting a lot of people, man. It really is. Inflation's struggling, causing people to struggle. But, you know, we'll see. I think brick and mortar stores are going to struggle more anyway. I think another thing that you're going to have to see is like a lot of people are transitioning to digital marketing more, and you got to be involved with that. You got to get DoorDash. You got to let DoorDash happen too. And some of the people that have run restaurants for a long time refuse to do that, right? And so that makes them less competitive in those markets. I'm not saying they're not competitive. They're just less competitive because of some of those tech dynamics, I think. All right, so the Chinese president Xi says should adhere to openness and win-win cooperation and maintain the international and economic trade order. The German Chancellor Merz also says it has become apparent that partnership with the U.S. will be less self-evident. It will be more issue and interest-based. Reddit up to 250, man. And I remember when Reddit IPO'd, it was kind of pre-profits. But this thing has just flown from 55s to 250. But yeah, Reddit's making big moves. Kind of want to short this again, but I think there's risks now. Yeah, I mean, Octo is almost certainly a pump and dump, but it is running big. Like, look. Some of the penny stock influencers are pumping this up. Telling everybody to jump in it. Like, this is just kind of a pump and dump, guys. I mean, again, maybe it does some crazy stuff. It's just not my style. I'm not about to trade this, you know? Because for every stock that does this, there's 3 or 4 of them that do the opposite, where they go up like 100% and then they just dump down. And so just don't get caught with your pants down with this one on OCTO. Just be careful. It's already up or down. It might keep running. Like, just to clarify, I don't know. This is a pump and dump, so you never know when it's going to stop. I'm not buying it, though. It's not my style. Too much risk. Looks like I should have held my short position, but it's all right. What do you think about TKO? I mean, I think it's the parent company behind the UFC, so it's interesting. But I think it's already at all-time highs. It's probably pushing up over the last little bit because of the Paramount deal. I'm assuming, but it's at all-time highs. It looks good, but I don't trust it. It looks good. I don't trust it though. I think they're making money. Don't get me wrong. You know. And I hope they go up, but I just don't know it well enough to invest in it. I don't really like buying things at all-time highs. And so if it pulled back a reasonable amount, I'd probably consider buying it. But because it's at all-time highs, I'm just not really trying to buy it up there. I don't trust it where it's at, is the point. It's not that I don't trust the company. I think the company's good. TKO probably owns, what, like wrestling brands too? Yeah, they own Professional Bull Riders, World Wrestling Entertainment, WWE. They own UFC. Yeah, so those are pretty good brands. They're just up there right now. They're just up there in terms of price. Yeah, TKO also got an ESPN deal with WWE, yeah, which is good. They're just up there right now. Like, I don't know if this is the best time. Unless you hold long-term and you DCA, I don't know if this is the right time to buy it, though. You know what I mean? I think it wants $200, but I think there's risks. I don't like the slap fighting brand at all. I don't like that brand at all. I think the slap fighting thing is just trendy. And I think eventually we'll see that fade, personally. It just gets boring. Like, it gets repetitive, it gets boring. You're basically wiping people's chin strength out, too. I just don't like that at all. I mean, I watch it. I used to watch it, I'll say. But it gets boring quick. Like, it gets kind of... It's too repetitive. There's no variance with, you know... and so I do think that brand will start to lose interest over time. But yeah. Yeah, I mean, what I see is I see a bunch of people that couldn't cut it in the UFC going out there slapping each other as hard as they can. That sounds terrible. I don't think it's a good look either. I think if you want the UFC to look good, you can't, like, you know, I think it's entertaining too at first, but you get bored of it quick. I don't think the entertainment factor will last either. And you got a bunch of people who, you know, it seems unnecessary, to be honest. And it seems trendy to me, right? It seems something that got big, you know, on the internet back in 2000 or 2020s. And then, you know, has kind of like grown a little bit, but I think there's too much of a chance that that brand will fade. Probably, but you never know. You never know. Maybe it succeeds. No, there's no skill involved, is the point. Like, I mean, there's a little bit, don't get me wrong. Like, you got to know how to turn your hips into it. But there's not enough skill involved to make it an actual sport that people want to watch. It's just kind of like, hey, let's watch these guys destroy their chin. You know? I don't know. Yeah, what's up, guys? Dude, I love the UFC. I love watching the UFC. I love watching MMA. I train jiu-jitsu. You know, I'm certainly not against combat sports. But I think there's certain sports where they're just hard to bet on the future of it. UNH is still running though. Look at UNH. All right, guys, I'm looking at, so Michael Saylor tells CNBC he is confident strategy will still join the S&P 500. He said, we will figure it out. We figure it will happen at some time regarding MicroStrategy joining the S&P. Do you guys think it will? Again, China's Xi vows to maintain international economic and trade orders. He said we should uphold multilateralism. Michael Saylor said the digital transportation of capital markets is accelerating and momentum is building for Bitcoin. You guys agree with him? Again, JP Morgan says the Fed is likely to cut 25 basis points, not 50. Fabio Bassi expects the Fed to trim rates by 25 basis points in September, citing weak payrolls but still high inflation. He said a 50 basis point move is unlikely. This kind of sounds like what I said, right? I don't think we're going to cut 50 basis points. I think we'll do 25, 25, 25 probably, which will be a 75 basis point cut total this year, 0.75%. But I don't necessarily think we're going to do, I don't necessarily think that we're going to cut 50 basis points this month. I just don't think we have the data to justify it yet. If it was slap boxing, like conventional slap boxing, I'd be like every guy at least has actual slap boxed, right? Where it's like an actual like bah, 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 bah. You know, this is not slap boxing. This is just basically let's let people slap you as hard as they can. That's different. You know, that's just different. All right, so European Union diplomats say they expect the Commission to propose 19th package of sanctions against Russia by Friday. They may list banks in 2 Central Asian countries as part of the 19th package, as well as Russian regional banks and other entities. Also, Hewlett Packard files for 3-part note offering. They didn't disclose the size, but yeah, they did that as well. Volkswagen board member Schmal says they urgently need competitive energy prices in Germany. Markets are pretty much flat. We cut 50 in last September. So why not cut 50? I know, but you gotta understand, right? Like think about it like this. Okay. Look at the NASDAQ bounce here. So we're bouncing a little bit right now. Let's see if there's a reason for this. Looks news driven. We can figure it out. Could be the Russian news. Yeah, exactly, Kai. That's kind of how I feel. You wouldn't take that bet, 10x your money if we cut 50? Or 25x your money if there's no change? I mean, I don't think it's a bad bet, but I still think, like, I think there's a chance we cut, like, it depends on what the data shows this week, guys. It really does. If inflation shows stability, there's going to be a higher chance that we do 50. If inflation shows elevation, there's going to be a lower chance we cut 50. And so it's going to depend on the data. Wednesday, Thursday, and tomorrow's benchmark revision of payroll data that comes out, right? So it's going to depend on all that stuff. Also, guys, y'all check out TopStep. Beautiful way to help support the channel. There's no PDT in futures. If you want to day trade with me, you can day trade on TopStep. The base one's $50 a month. That's not the end of the world if you fail. If you pass the test, you get a 50K funded account, 90% split. You get they pay out millions, fund thousands. 90% split, and you get to keep your first 10K prior to that split kicking in after you're funded. It's very similar to funding your own account. If you fail, you lose $50 for the challenge. It's not the end of the world. It's a great way to learn how to day trade. And most day traders lose money, so it's a great to learn in a structured environment like this. And it's the best of both worlds. Limited risk, similar reward to funding your own account. If you want to check it out, they are a sponsor of mine. I am biased. Understand all this stuff on screen. I can't guarantee anything. I'm not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose money. Always make your own assessment. Trade smart. I can't guarantee anything, but incredibly useful. They also just unveiled their back to funding option, which is incredibly useful. And yeah, check them out. There's the link. All right, so we're going up. We're at 770s now in the NASDAQ. NASDAQ is rebounding here. I'm trying to see if there's a reason. I don't see one. Michael Saylor says analysts expect Bitcoin above 150 by Christmas. You guys agree by the end of the year, Bitcoin 150? Fun Strats Tom Lee on CNBC says Bitcoin can easily get to 200,000 by the year end. I don't know. I hope it does. Definitely plausible. It could happen. I mean, it definitely could happen. I mean, we're at we hit 125, 150, certainly possible. And so it could happen. We'll see. Depends on the economic landscape. Tom Lee. Do you respect Tom Lee's opinions? I think yes and no. I think there's a lot of confirmation bias. But I also understand, like, he's, you know. All right, we're up to almost 775. Yeah, trust me, bruh. Is what analysts. There's a lot of confirmation bias, but I'm with it. I'm for it. I hope Bitcoin does go up that much. A lot of it's going to depend on what rates do, and you know, the Bitcoin crowd, they want, or no, it's the crypto crowd, the altcoin crowd. They want rates to, they want easy, is what they want. All right, chat. We got about 35 minutes left until the opening bell. We'll see what we get. We've traded a couple times, but and we're green on the day, but it's been back and forth, and the market's moving in a range right now, sideways for the most part. We did a poll. 63% are bullish for the opening bell. 37% are bearish. Anthropic charged 1.3 billion for copyright claims. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, QE is not going to happen, and it shouldn't happen. The only way QE should happen is if we continue to see deep weakness in the labor market, as well as maybe like GDP starting to turn, unemployment spiking up to 4.5%, 5%. You know what I mean? Like unless we see some really bad signs, like some really, really bad signs, QE should not be happening right now. Like money printing right now in a market that fears inflation. Like people always like to scream, we're in a recession. They say, oh, we're in a recession, we're in a recession. And then I'm like, well, why do you think we're in a recession? And they never say, oh, because GDP's turning negative. They end up saying because my dad's sister's, you know, uncle's grandmother last week got fired. And it's like, okay, but one of the reasons people are really unhappy is inflation, which is the opposite of a reason whether we should be doing QE. Right? If inflation's a problem, we should not be doing QE, and QE will spike inflation if we do it. And so we should not be doing quantitative easing, spiking inflation, especially just to pander to the crypto people. Like, look, man, I get it. You want your cryptos to go up. I get it. I like crypto. I'm in Bitcoin. I'm in a bunch of other stuff too. We should not do quantitative easing to boost your positions there. That's a ridiculous expectation. And it's just not necessary right now. Maybe if we start to get the data that looks weak, like really weak in labor and GDP and unemployment, sure, maybe you could argue quantitative easing. We're still doing a tightening phase, just to put this into perspective. We're still doing QT. Now, we reduced Treasury QT by 80% not that long ago, but we're still doing MBS QT fully, I'm pretty sure. And so there's no way we should be doing quantitative easing right now. We don't have the data to justify it, you know. No, William. No, you can't. Yeah, gold just broke all-time highs. New all-time highs in gold, 36.64.90, almost 36.65. Just got right under 36.65. NASDAQ bouncing back up here. The current administration asked the Supreme Court to allow it to freeze billions in foreign aid. India's August fuel sales rise 2.6% year over year. Diesel sales increase 1.2% according to government data cited by Reuters. And so again, The current administration asked the Supreme Court to allow it to freeze billions in foreign aid. Maybe that's the news that's making things go up. All right, NASDAQ's rebounding back up here. NVIDIA's climbing back up. It's over the 200 exponential. You see gold is right here, by the way, chat. Gold is right underneath me. John, can the president have CPI and PPI numbers up so that the Fed can lower interest rates? You have it backwards, rather. So if CPI and PPI goes up, it's going to be less of a green light to cut rates, not more. In order to cut rates, which is stimulative for the economy, right? So you got to understand economic policy like this. If the economy's weak, if the labor market's weak, and we have price stability, meaning low inflation, that gives us the green light to be more stimulative. Like, we can stimulate the economy, lower interest rates. When rates are lower, businesses can expand more, they can hire more people, people end up taking more loans, spending more money. All this different stuff happens, and it's stimulative for the economy, right? But the consequence of that is inflation. So that's one of the consequences can be inflation, I should say. And so that is why, in order to justify rate cuts, you need lower inflation, you need lower PPI, you need lower CPI data to justify. The Fed's looking at PCE and some other stuff as well, but you need lower inflation to justify it. If the economy's booming, but we have high inflation, but inflation is elevated and spiking, the Fed will do the other. Like, the Fed can behave in the opposite way, that where they can raise interest rates, they can raise rates, trying to push the economy, the labor market down some to combat that inflation spiking, right? But yeah, so the point I'm trying to make is, and number one, I don't think they're going to influence those things. I think it's much harder for them to. I think if they could, they would have already. Yeah, gold's breaking all-time highs. Fed should have cut already, though. Yeah, I mean, it depends on how you guys look at it. I'm not against you. I thought we should have cut last meeting as well, right? But you got to understand, like, and I've said this before. So the Fed cut 3 times at the end of last year, right? And again, you got to ask, like, who would that benefit? That benefit the current administration, the current president, right? And so they already cut 1% last year, and then they paused up until this month, most likely. Right. And again, I still think we probably should have cut last meeting at least, based off of some of the weak signs in the labor market, you know. But it hasn't been easy. We've had elevated inflation data, right? Like PPI data last month came out really hot, really, really bad for PPI inflation. If you take a look at what it showed up as last month total, it showed up rough for PPI inflation, right? Like, we got bad numbers. CPI wasn't that bad, but the argument is that eventually the PPI numbers are going to get passed on to consumers. PPI is wholesale inflation. So the argument was that eventually it's getting passed on to, you know, the consumers, and we'll see it reflected. And maybe this month we'll see if that happened. But yeah, the PPI numbers were really bad. They showed up here. They showed up at 0.9% versus 0.2%, core PPI 0.9% versus 0.3%, year over year 3.7 versus 2.9, headline 3.3. So core PPI year over year was almost 4%. And so we, you know, that closes the door for earlier cuts if we see it reflected in consumer prices. Now, again, I still think we're going to cut next week, but it is somewhat ambiguous, I would say. Right, we got a little bit of both. We got high inflation and weak labor, which again a lot of people are going to say is stagflation, which is an economic situation in which we have high inflation and weak labor markets simultaneously. and it can precede a recession. Gold's breaking higher right now. Look at gold up to 36.67. Yeah, gold up to 36.68. ECG gold stock. Yeah, I mean, gold's ripping up right now too, and it's been moving up a lot. We'll see. Google faces lawsuit from PubMatic over alleged anti-competitive practice in digital advertising. The legal action seeks to restore fair market competition. If they're going to be affected by this. Nvidia back down though. It's looking weak. What's driving this higher? Not Apple, Amazon. Amazon's up. I don't want to short up here, but I'll try to short it a little bit here, but it's risky. Add a little bit up here. See if we get a 775 pullback. These are all small trades. We're waiting until the opening bell to trade larger. There we go. Took half off. Another piece off. We'll let the rest break even now. I'm going to try to get out there if it lets me. There we go. We got the pullback to 775 like we wanted. We're just going to get out quick. Yeah, OCTO has been going crazy. Yeah, Tesla. 350s. Amazon Pharmacy expands the US dollar 5 RX Pass medication subscription to Texas. Alright, so we got out right where we're supposed to here. Again, let's see if Nvidia breaks down more. We're at the top of the range, but we still have 23 minutes until the market opens. Yeah, I don't think Google's gonna... I don't think this is gonna hold. The last one was thrown out regarding Google, so I don't think this one's gonna hold. Yeah, gold didn't really react to this news. I don't know when this news came out. Here's gold. Gold's still pushing towards all-time highs. Making another push right now. New all-time high is 668.70. These are gold futures though, so the real gold spot price might differ. I'm probably gonna trade a little bit larger at the bell too for this. Buddy, have a good day at school, dude. Hey, wait, hold on. All right, guys. The wash sale rule basically means that you can't write off Mr. Monster. So just to give you, and again, number one, I'm going to preface this with ask your accountant because I have no freaking idea. Gold's still testing all-time highs again. Nvidia falling down some, but I have no idea. Okay, not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose money. But the wash sale rule basically says, just so you can understand like the point of this rule, the wash sale rule basically says if you make $1,000 trading a specific symbol or security or asset, right? If you make $1,000 and then you lose $1,000 trading the same symbol, the same security, the same asset, you can't write off that $1,000 loss because you're really break even. You made $1,000 and then lost $1,000. So you're flat. You can't write off that $1,000 loss like you're net down $1,000 from the wash sale rule. That's basically what the wash sale rule is doing. Is it's stopping you from writing off losses that you're not really down on, if that makes sense, because that would be kind of like a cheat code. Coca-Cola? I think Coca-Cola's down a lot. I don't hate KO right here, to be honest. I don't know if I'm gonna buy it, but I don't hate it right here. All right, Nasdaq's hitting that 200 exponential moving average level. All right, so we're rebounding back up here in the Nasdaq. Look at this. Let's watch Nvidia here. I think Nvidia is going to matter. Robinhood still pushing towards that all-time high level. Not all-time high. I'm sorry, high of the day level. Nasdaq's pushing up. Amazon's up today too. It's at 235. So we got Apple with their conference this week. Does Apple go up or down from their iPhone 17 conference? What do you guys think? Gold's probably pushing out on rate cut expectations, right? Because gold is an inflation hedge. And if people think rate cuts are going to be stimulative and make inflation rise, then gold, people are hedging with gold is probably what, you know, one of the big reasons gold's pushing up, if that makes sense. Broadcom gonna be the next Nvidia. Yeah, AVGO has been on a huge tear for a while now. Apple down because they never have anything new. Well, now they're getting some type of slim phone here. So it's something, but all right, I love you. Good day. Yeah, I mean, gold's gonna rise on rate cuts. It just means more potential inflation, and people are hedging against that inflation with gold, right? Yeah, I don't know what. Again, I don't know what Apple's gonna do. I really don't know. You know? All right, guys. We got the opening bell coming soon in 16 minutes. We'll see if we get some good stuff. NASDAQ's at the top of the range. Robinhood's pushing up. NVIDIA's falling down some. It's weird, though, okay, we see AVGO is ripping up. Is probably one of the reasons we're getting drives up here. Look at 340s right now for AVGO. And again, if you look at a long-term chart for AVGO, crazy, 350s. NASDAQ still trying to hold. United Health still elevated here. And we're green on the day in our stocks, but hey, nice, Sam. Good job, dude. What do you think will happen if inflation data will turn out to be as dramatic as the jobs report were, and it will balance it out so the rate cut chances drop again? I still think we're going to cut rates. Even if inflation shows up super hot, I still think it's very probable we're going to cut rates. And the market has it priced in right now. You never really know, though. Jerome Powell, I think we've seen enough weakness in the labor market in which they're going to cut rates, right? Even if inflation is elevated, personally, I think that's what's going to happen. I might be wrong. You never know. There's variance always with it. And so you never really freaking know. We could do the opposite. But I think we'll probably cut rates, regardless of what the inflation data shows up as. Now, this is all, unless it shows up wildly high. Like, if we get a shocking number on Wednesday and Thursday for both of those, that might be a situation where we might see the odds of rate cuts decrease dramatically. But I think we're so close to the meeting now. I think we're still close to the meeting now that, it's still less likely that we're going to pivot away from rate cuts. Personally, but maybe I'm wrong. What do you guys think? Do you guys think there's a chance we don't cut rates next week? And if so, let me know your story behind that. Yeah, markets haven't priced it. If you look at yields, right, you can see where yields are if you want to see where rate cuts are, yields and interest rates kind of follow each other. Right now, yields are down, so people are betting on rate cuts right now. Yields are still dropping this morning. And so people are essentially betting on rate cuts is what we're seeing. If we take a look at odds here, they're still 90-10. Exactly 90-10 right now, 90-10. So it's looking pretty probable we're going to cut. But again, the inflation data this week might change that tune. We'll see. Thing is, if we cut, market's going to be flat. If we don't, we crash. There's only one direction. Yeah, I mean, some people argue if we get cuts, the market might be buy the rumor, sell the news. The S&P broke highs last week. Highs in the S&P 500 are now within range. The SPY itself, highs of the SPY are 652s. We're at 648, so we're still a couple bucks away from that, but we're still close to highs. And so a lot of people are going to argue, even if we do cut rates, markets might be dropping. I think if we shock people and don't cut rates, though, the market's definitely going to be dropping, but you never know. Do you guys think the market reacts favorably to rate cuts or no? What do you guys think? I don't think inflation's too bad. I see a cut, though. Too much pressure. Yeah, I mean, I think we cut rates. It could change, man. You never know. So it could change. You don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Again, gold hit all-time highs again, 36.71.50 for futures. Spot gold now 3,630, a new record high. Yeah, so Mark Cuban is worried about AI's job replacement. He thinks that white-collar jobs are going to be disappearing from AI, and that if so, office occupancy in U.S. cities could be dropping. Layoffs tied to AI are making headlines, but office buildings are still full. You guys think we'll see a shift in that commercial? You got the Van Eck Office and Commercial Real Estate Investment Trust. Let's take a look at this right now. GASC is the symbol. No liquidity here, but Nasdaq still pushing higher. Nvidia bouncing right at that previous closing price at 167, so still technically green on the day. Robinhood at 110 even right now. .5 will be a party. I don't think so. Maybe we'll see. We'll see. Stagflation. I think we might already see stagflation, high inflation and weak labor. I think we kind of already see that. Hey, nice, Sam. Good job, dude. Plus, you won't have hackers anymore. Yeah, that may be true. All right, we're at 786s right now in the NASDAQ here, guys. You guys ready for the opening bell? What do we get? 65% of you think we're going to get bullish. 35% think we're going to get bearish opens. Again, gold breaking 36.30. My Marvel position is still doing good. We bought Marvel last week. Average price of 62s. It's at almost 64s. That's good. See if it continues pushing up here. Here's the NASDAQ ripping here. Let's watch 800. I think 800 is probably a level, but you never know. I'm watching 800 up there. We also have the high right here at 790s, which we just broke past. So the NASDAQ just broke highs of the day now. Ahead of the open. NASDAQ just broke highs of the day. Let's see if we get some momentum here. Watch 800s above us. Nvidia bounced right at that previous closing price. That's why you should watch it. Here's the previous close on Nvidia. That's precisely where we bounced. United Health falling back down a little bit, but yeah, I mean, we're somewhere in the middle right now. We're at 792s. 793s, but we're right at highs. So gold's pulling back a little bit. We're getting a little bit more optimism in markets. We had the French Prime Minister got Beirut saying that if they do not address debt, they will not be able to borrow at all. 7 minutes. Let's see what the opening bell brings. Again, tomorrow, guys, we got benchmark revision to payroll data. So the benchmark revision to payrolls drops tomorrow. Relevant. All right, NASDAQ rejected that previous high of the day, basically. You watch 23.8. The opening bell is basically here. We got 6 minutes left. Yeah, I know we got a bunch of IPOs. No, you don't swing. Top Step's just for day trading. But it's useful because, again, most day traders lose. When I started day trading, I lost like 4 or 5,000, 3, 4, 5. I can't remember how much it was. It was thousands. I was upset about it too. It was like that was a lot of money to me at the time. I mean, it's still a lot of money, but in the grand scheme of day trading, I guess it's not that much. But most day traders lose very similarly. And so if you got a cheaper way to learn, still pressure to make money, you're still risking something, I think it's a perfect middle ground of pressure. And again, they're a sponsor of mine. I'm biased. Confirm all of it with them. If you want to check it out, it's pinned at the top of the chat. But yeah, most day traders lose. And again, I think marketing for day trading makes people think they're going to be rich if you just buy their course, follow their mentorship. But most day traders lose, you know. The standard of the world's workforce needs replacing, so bring on AI. Yeah, I mean, I think we're seeing a tech shift, of course. We're seeing a tech shift, right? Every, I would say, 20 years, 15 years, we see a tech revolution. You know, we had the internet, we had the PC boom, we had the internet boom, we had, you know, the AI boom, you got EVs, whether you want to consider that a tech revolution. Yeah, the smartphones is probably, so yeah, I would say it went PC, internet, smartphones. Now we're seeing AI, right? And these happen, and certain people fear it, as always. Businesses, you know, sink or swim depending on the AI and or depending on the technology evolution, and that's normal. I think with AI though, it's going to allow growth as well as contractions in different markets, right? Like, you're going to be able to produce a lot more. There's going to be a lot more self-employed people. There's going to be a lot more AI startups and businesses that hire people and do things. But you're also going to lose a lot of business as well, because AI can essentially do what people previously used to get hired for. And so you're going to see both, right? You're going to see both. I think the net effect is we're going to lose jobs net, but you're going to see some jobs created from it also. Yeah, we got 3 minutes. Let's see what we get. Two and a half minutes left. Robinhood still climbing higher here after getting added to the S&P, effective September 22nd. High of the day is about 111. It's at 110.50s. So it's still moving up. NASDAQ right at the top of the range, broke highs of the day and then pulled back. NVIDIA's bouncing back up towards the 200 exponential volume weighted average price level. Gold's been breaking highs all morning, and the opening bell is here. Yeah, App 11 got added too, so Enphase got replaced. NVIDIA's still pumping up. Look at NVIDIA here. This is dragging the NASDAQ higher. NVIDIA's up. All right, Nvidia went up. Let's see if this is news related. But again, the opening bell is basically here. China and Switzerland central banks renew local currency swap deal. Yeah, I don't see anything else. All right, guys, here we go. 1 minute. Palantir just ripped up. Yeah, almost 155s right now. It's got to be news related, huh? Okay, so Palantir co-founder Joe Lonsdale says, very weird that the president took 10% Intel stake, calls it cronyism in some form. That news came out yesterday, though. I don't see any news for Palantir right now. The PBOC extends currency swap with Hungarian and Swiss central bank for 5 years, respectively. Turkey reportedly mulling multi-billion-dollar deal for iconic bridges. Yeah, look at Palantir rise, though. Palantir's ripping up this morning. Got 155s right now. Here's the opening bell in 20 seconds. All right, 3, 2, 1. Here's the bell. Make sure to hit the live button next to the play button to make sure you're fully caught up. So look at Nvidia shoot up at the opening bell here. Just broke highs of the day again for the NASDAQ. Robinhood just ripped up to 111s right now. So Robinhood up to 112s. NASDAQ up. Nvidia up. Palantir up big to 156. A lot of strength at the opening bell this week for CPI week. Marvel up. We're seeing the Manheim used vehicle car index showed at 207.4 versus 206.5, previously up 1.7% year over year. We're seeing strength at the bell. It doesn't mean it's gonna hold. I'm hesitant. I gotta wait at least a couple minutes and let this play out first. We're green on the day, but still gotta sit here and wait a little bit. Tesla, Nvidia up since the open though. Robinhood up. Palantir up to almost 157 right now. 157 per Palantir. The imbalance was mostly negative. Robinhood turning a little bit here. Nvidia 168. Watch Nvidia here though. Nvidia is going to be important. Look at Robinhood retrace. Two minutes into the day. I would short this a little bit here to be honest, but I'm gonna wait. Yeah, there's the drop. About 2.5 minutes into the day, kind of back and forth. Yeah, APP. AppLovin's up huge. Should have shorted it, man. I was thinking about shorting it. I think I'm gonna liquidate a little bit of my Marvel position. I'm green on the position. My average price is 62s. It's at 63s. But I'm gonna liquidate just some of it for protection. And hold most of it, but take some of it out. Nvidia just ripping back up to the highs of the... Is this highs of the day? Yeah, Nvidia just broke highs of the day again. So we're 3 minutes into the day. A lot of stuff's retracing back to the upside, so that looks good. I should have bought. I gotta wait 4 minutes at least to trade is my rule. Different Marvel, Lenny. Different Marvel, bro. Look at Hood up to 112s, almost 113s. All right, we'll buy a dip. There we go. All right, we're out. Out of the open, waiting for some longer term trades to take, but good. Saudi has set the October Arab light crude OSP to Asia at plus 2.2 BBL, according to Reuters. Quantum. Oh, the Philly Karen, bro. How dare that lady, bro? Honestly, I've been watching videos about her all weekend. She deserves to be publicly scrutinized here, you know? Like, how dare her? Like, bro, in a baseball game, it doesn't matter if the ball lands by your seat, under your seat. If you don't get your hands on the ball, it ain't yours. She just got mad because she was slow and then blamed some dude and then took the ball from some kid. Just ridiculous, bro. She had the haircut too, you know. She deserves the public scrutiny. All right, anyways, we're pulling back down. Nvidia's still rising. Nvidia had 6 green candles so far since the opening bell. A little bit too elevated for me to want to buy it again. I already bought it once. We're green on the day, but switch accounts here. Nasdaq's pushing. Nvidia's rising back up too. Marvel just broke highs, so maybe I shouldn't have sold a piece. I sold a small piece. We're still holding the majority of the position we had today, but I think like risk management's important there. Still elevated up there. Nasdaq's flying. Got a little retracement here. I just get balled up though is what I'm worried about. It might just get bought up here. Look at Nvidia make another push. See if it holds. We're gonna turn around all the way down here. See what happens. Still down. Gonna see if Nvidia breaks highs again. If Nvidia breaks highs again, that might be where we continue up, but still falling down, reversing all the gains we made. Let's see if we hold down here or not. We went up some at the opening bell, was optimistic, and now we're kind of turning the other way. We did get a trade in our other account. We're going to cut it right there. Marvel's still up pretty big. I actually did buy Kato. I bought right here at this 800 level that I had on my chart. So I'm actually up a couple hundred on the day. Sorry, I'm bad at switching back and forth between accounts. But we're green. We got some cushion on the day too, which is always good. I don't want to buy a little dip here again. Again, I'm going to switch accounts back to this one now, and then we'll maybe trade that one here. Hold on, I'm going to buy a little dip here, a small dip right here. Might add 2 contracts into this, see if we get a bounce. There we go. There we go. All right, I'm going to cut it right there. We got our quick bounce there, quick bounce. Nvidia is still rising. It's at 170s now. Yeah, MRVL is what I have. Not an investment professional. I'm not telling you to do anything. I have no idea what we're gonna do. Don't copy me. I'm not an investment professional. Understand all this stuff on screen. I can't guarantee anything. Not an investment professional. Not liable if you lose. Good luck. All right, we just tapped highs. Nvidia right at the highs too. I don't know if this is worth buying the dip. I think we already got the bounce once. United Health giving it back a little bit at the opening bell. Marvel's still pushing up. Robinhood still making another push towards highs. Remember, all-time highs on Robinhood are 117s. We're at 113s now, so we can make a push towards that today. NASDAQ just getting close to the all-time high level here. Let's see if it holds. Bro, I don't even know what financial advice is, dude. Don't copy me. Not an investment professional. All I know is this ain't financial advice, and I'm not an investment professional. Don't copy me. Top 3 least financial professionals in the world right now. Don't do it. Yeah, I see Open Door. I don't trust it. Another penny stock running Octo, OCTO. Thing's wild. It's a pump and dump. It's never going to hold these gains long term, but short term, who freaking knows what it's going to do. I'm pretty sure this is getting pumped up by penny stock gurus. And again, while this one might run like this, 3 out of 4 of them will just dump down and destroy your account. So don't get caught up in the hype. You're probably gonna have a bunch of people trying to sell you penny stock courses based off of OCTO's movement today. Again, 3 out of 4 of these will not behave this way, and so they're gonna isolate the one that does and act like they called it, but they didn't. You know, like most of them are putting it on a watch list, and then if it runs, they're isolating that one, and then they're only talking about that one, and they're ignoring the others. So yeah, just be careful. Yeah, 9 out of 10 don't behave that way. People get, again, that's why I started. You hear me talk about how I lost. Look at Robinhood, up to 114s. Gold still breaking highs at 36.74 right now for gold futures. Still breaking highs. We're up about 200 on the day or so right now. That's good. We're up like 180 to be exact. Or not exact, it's probably like, in one account we're up 153, in another account we're up like 20 something. So. Nasdaq's struggling to get over these highs though. This is all driven by Nvidia. Nvidia probably was due for a rebound back up just based off of how much Nvidia's down over the last couple weeks. So. Just out here chilling with my gold position. Hey, good job, dude. Remember, tomorrow we got revisions to payrolls. That's the big story of tomorrow. Will we get high or low inflation this week, guys? I think that's the big story of the week is inflation data, of course. High or low inflation data, guys? Let me know. Fun opening though, man. The French Socialist Party's Vallaud says the country's financial system is the result of France's President Macron policies. Yeah, but guys, like, I'm a capitalist, of course. Like, I think you have to be. I get it. Some people are unhappy. There's always winners and losers in everything, right? In every market, you got winners and losers, right? And sometimes I think people that aren't as successful get upset. And I get it. I do. I think it should be fair for everybody, right? But there's always winners and losers. That's the nature of life in general, you know? Survival of the fittest. While I agree with some socialist concepts, I'm a capitalist. You don't really have any successful socialist, not real socialist countries in the world. Not really. And there's going to be corruption regardless. People like to reference corruption as a criticism against capitalism. There's going to be corruption. If you don't think there's corruption with those, of course there is, right? I just don't know. Like, it's a fun concept, but it's never been successfully executed in the world. You know? Like, yeah, kumbaya, let's all live in harmony. I get it. Unfortunately, humans are not like that, you know? There's going to be corruption regardless of which way you go. At least with capitalism, they earn it. Sometimes they earn it. With the other forms, they're just kind of blindly given power, and then that causes more corruption, you know. And so there's just problems either way. At least with capitalism, you generally have a high standard of living relative to the rest of the world, you know. Anyways, Marvel bouncing at the VWAP. Nasdaq's pretty choppy and sideways here. Well, yeah, we just look, and again, to contradict myself, I think you could probably have some healthcare that's free. I think the healthcare system here is kind of run amok. I'm okay with that, you know. Our tax dollars get wasted on a lot of stuff, and so this might be too political of a conversation. I'm very neutral politically, honestly. I don't really like either side. I'm very neutral. I stay away from it. I don't let it stress me out. But well, yeah. I mean, it's not perfect. Like I said, I might contradict myself, but like I've lived in Canada before. It's not that bad. Not from my experience. Maybe I have a worse look at it in terms of healthcare system, but I think there's pros and cons to it, to be honest, as in most things. The truth is somewhere in the middle. Anyways, Robinhood push it up still at 115s. Yeah, I'm gonna politely step away from this conversation. It's too divisive, in all honesty. It's all love here, guys. But cheers to you guys. Whatever you believe, it's all good here. All right. We just broke highs. Look at that high rip. We're still moving up. Nvidia is testing highs of the day again, back up to 171. It's mostly bullish day today. Yeah, I think this is just a rebound. I mean, you got to understand, this is microchip driven. Nvidia's pushing up. Nvidia's been on a big retracement back here. You know, Nvidia's been on a big retracement back. And so I think Nvidia's just bouncing off from extension on the downside. Is probably what we're seeing in markets right now. We just tapped highs, now we're coming back down some. I mean, Jackal, of course it does. I can't tell if it, context is hard to tell, like whether you're being sarcastic or not, but oh, you're talking about Canada, yeah. There's pros and cons to it from my experience. Like, there's good things about it for sure, and then there's also bad things about it for sure, from my experience of it. And I've lived in Canada for a while, you know. Anyways, we're at 860s now, 860s. Yeah, this is, again, it's all good, guys. It's all good. I'm a capitalist. If you trade stocks, you're a capitalist too. Don't get it twisted. You know? Like, now you might think certain aspects of what we do now in this country need to change, and I understand that. But if you trade stocks, you're a capitalist. I'm gonna get out of here though. It's kind of boring in markets right now. We're breaking highs, but we're not really doing it in any big way. I'm up hundreds on the day. I think I'm just gonna bow out. Tomorrow we got benchmark revisions to payrolls as well. And so we got benchmark revision to payrolls at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. The day after that, we got PPI inflation. The day after that, we have CPI inflation. Y'all be ready. Good luck. Again, if you want to check out Top Step, great way to help support the channel. I'll put the link up one more time. Beautiful way to learn day trading. Most day traders lose money. And so does it make any sense to fund your own account? I don't think so. But again, I'm biased because I get paid by them. They're a sponsor of mine. But they're genuinely useful. You want to confirm it all with them, but genuinely useful for traders. Great way to get started for less. They have their back to funded option now, which lets you reset a funded account. A lot of great tools and uses for them. Great way to learn. I'll put the link up. Y'all have a great day. Again, you can give me a follow on X at Beginner Trades, at Beginner Trades. I appreciate it. Y'all have a good one.